VikesNow, Dustin Baker, the end of week edition, August 12th. We are on a Friday, and we are a little over 48 hours from the Vikings' first preseason game, real action, sorta. And I want to give you 7 reasons why you can use these on your wife, on your kids, anybody that will listen to you, as to why it's important to keep tabs on this Vikings preseason game. We're going to go through 7 items, which are basically things to monitor throughout the contest. I don't know if I've given this speech on this show before about preseason, but I'm going to do it just in case I haven't. I have a very weird odyssey with preseason football, and it might be similar to yours. In my 20s, I would get stoked, excited leading up to preseason because I'd convinced myself that football was back. And then, 24, I've told you before, I'm a recovered alcoholic, so drunk, I would sit down, ready for this game. And within 8 to 10 minutes, I would be like, this sucks. Why did I get excited for this? And so over into my 30s, I'm going to be 39 here in a couple months, I trained myself into not giving a shit about preseason aside from monitoring roster battles. Well, then what happened? I stumbled into all this Viking stuff as a career, and now it's mandatory that I follow it. And with that, it's even more exciting to watch the intricacies of how these roster items shake out. So on the whole, rejuvenated about the preseason because I'm going to be looking for the little things. And that's what you should do because, as I say often, you're watching a show like this right now, which means you care more than your average bear about the Vikings. So, alas, in no particular order, let's go through 7 reasons to watch this Vikings contest. They kind of go all over the roster. Some of them are for vibes. You'll find out here. So the first is Greg Joseph, the incumbent kicker who has no competition at training camp or preseason, which is kind of a rarity in the last 5 years since Blair Walsh's demise. Usually, Zimmer and the gang has a young whippersnapper nibbling at the existing veteran kicker, because they don't trust either one of them, so may the best man win. Well, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and Kevin O'Connell did that for a little bit, but they ended the story at June minicamp when they said, Gabe Burchich ain't it. He's not good enough. He sucked at June minicamp. Go play for the Packers. That's basically what happened. So now Joseph is unabashedly the starting kicker for the Vikings, the only one in the orbit of the roster. And it looks like, knock on serious wood, that the decision in training camp is vindicated. The dude has been drilling kicks beyond 50, beyond 55, hitting 60-yarders that looks like NFL record distance to spare. Justin Tucker, are you watching? No, you're not, but you get it. So not that the preseason is going to make or break Mr. Joseph, but if he comes out and goes 4 for 4, hits all the extra points, because those are historically a problem for this team too, then you will have a good taste in your mouth that maybe we stumbled upon a kicker that can, for now, end some of these struggles. Because all of these guys in the past, whether it's Walsh, Dan Bailey, I guess Carlson was an exception, Forbath, they're all good for a little bit, and then some awful thing happens, and they're just not trustworthy. So Joseph tried to do that last year. You remember it in your bones in the desert versus the Cardinals. So in this preseason game, it would be nice if he gets to, in Las Vegas, get to try a 58-yarder and nails it just like he does in Egan. It will bring it to fruition that perhaps this is in good shape, tentatively speaking, because I don't know that you'll ever have a day as a Vikings fan where you're going to be like, oh, we're good with said player as a kicker. I'm trying to think what litmus test you would need to not have anxiety in your heart when a game-winning kick comes on the docket. It probably doesn't exist because of the times you've been burned before. However, if Joseph comes out and brings to life this training camp resume on a somewhat meaningful field in Las Vegas, I think that will bode well for him and allow you to rest easy. So Greg Joseph is number 1. Number 2 is Kellen Mond, the person. Because this show doesn't give a damn about Sean Mannion. We already know what he is. He's like a QB3 if a team carries 3 quarterbacks. Just not dynamic. It sounds like he's a wonderful human being, and they keep him in the locker room accordingly. But in terms of keeping a season afloat in case something happens to Kirk Cousins, Sean Mannion, you heard it here first, will not do that. However, Kellen Mond, with the upside of a youngster and a rookie, could do it, if he figures this out. Neither one of them have looked fabulous at training camp. They've even whispered, Kevin Seifert from ESPN said that they're open to signing another guy, like that'd have to be Blake Bortles, Cam Newton, Mike Glennon, Kyle Sloter, or Kevin Hogan, the guy they tried out last week. And if they're looking at those options, and mind you, they already cut Nate Stanley about a month ago, then it's probably not all sunshine and rainbows at QB2 in Viking land. However, Mon has this canvas in the next 3 games to show he's ready to be a QB2. Now, if you hear they're flirting with signing Bortles or Slaughter, it shouldn't make you roll your eyes because neither one of those guys is going to be the QB1. This is all an almighty contingency in case Cousins gets hurt for the first time and misses, football games. So Mond against the Raiders, against the 49ers, and then later on against the Broncos is probably going to get the majority of snaps because the world already knows what Sean Mannion is, but the world doesn't know what Mond is. So it will be vital for him in this playing time bonanza in the preseason to prove I'm the QB2. They drafted me in the 3rd round for a reason. I have all this toolkit that Sean Mannion doesn't, and if Kirk goes down, I'm ready for the bright lights. So if you, the little cliche, if you don't remember anything from this show or you turn it off right now and say, screw Dustin Baker, remember that Kellen Mond's development in the next 3 games has far-reaching implications on the Vikings roster in 2022 and beyond. My famous quote that I've effectuated on this show and then my writings on Vikings territory is, if he can't win a QB2 job over Sean Mannion, rule him out for the rest of days because he ain't going to do much in the league. Joseph Mond, 1 and 2. Number 3 is Lewis Cine in general. So I don't expect starters to play. However, Lewis Cine is right on the cusp of being the starting free safety, but Cameron Bynum says, not so fast. I had a wonderful rookie season. Nobody expected it from me. Did you see me play in Baltimore? And because Cine was drafted in the 1st round, you just kind of assume he's going to be the starter. Well, Bynum disagrees. So you should get to see Lewis Cine more than you might have expected 3 weeks ago because as a 1st rounder, you expect him to snatch a starting job, and he hasn't done that yet unless they're lying on the depth chart. So you'll get to see more Cine, which is important, because this is getting his rookie footing and adjusting to the speed of the league. And beyond that, it would just be cool because this is the guy that is nominated for life after Harrison Smith. Even if Cameron Bynum starts 17 games in 2022, Lewis Cine is still the future of the safety position when Harrison Smith starts to exit stage left when, age 33. That could be next year. It could be 4 years from now. We don't know. But Cine is the future at safety. And then just out of the gate, it's cool to see what he can do on a somewhat meaningful, organized NFL field. I don't know if we'll see Bynum. We shall see, but Cine, because of his draft stock and the Vikings have hyped him to the utmost since late April to finally get a look at him and his cool hair. Next is the generalized energy. You had 8 years of Mike Zimmer, and the first 6 were pretty damn good. I don't care what anybody says. The last 2 were not. They were stale. They were mediocre. They ended up in a 15-18 record, which is winning 45% of the time. But now it's a new coaching staff, a new front office, and this one I know it sounds generic, but you know how when you go to training camp or if you're watching the Twitter clips, it just feels different. The old shit is done. It's optimism. It's upbeat. Now, that can all go to hell if they go 0-4 out of the gate. I get it. You'll hear the frustrations on this show if that happens. However, right now, the honeymoon period is still here. And so when you flip on the television Sunday afternoon, just experience how it feels. You are literally looking at a younger coach, which you've been clamoring for 2 years since the product went south, and now you get to see it on the field. So just, again, at the risk of sounding too vanilla, just experience the vibe, contrasting it to how painstaking the last 2 years were. Because what was miserable about the last 2 years is you knew the roster personnel was there to be a playoff team, and they just couldn't figure it out, especially collapsing at the end of halves on defense. So monitor the Kevin O'Connell energy. You've already seen it at training camp. How does it transfer to the preseason, and how does it make you feel? Because at the end of the day, that's all Any of this matters is how you, the fan, feel about this product. Otherwise, there would be no product because you wouldn't be giving them your money. See the energy and inspiration that Kevin O'Connell causes. Number 5, and this one is a process of elimination. It's monitor who doesn't play. If you waltz into this thing kind of like me thinking, starters aren't going to play. The Rams last year didn't play any starters. It worked. They won a Super Bowl. I should say in the preseason they didn't play any starters. Kevin O'Connell might bring that same philosophy because bada bing, it worked. In that regard, you're going to tell on your couch by just looking at your roster on your phone, looking at the depth chart, oh, Cameron Bynum isn't playing. He must be the starter. Oh, Jesse Davis. I didn't see him tonight. That must mean he's the starter. I think through sheer subtracting dudes from ones you don't see on the field, that will indicate who they think is precious, who they're protecting for starting jobs. Pretty elementary there, kind of like the vibes one, but that's what I'll be doing, so you might as well do it too. Flag who doesn't play because that man is on a fast track to start against the Packers in, 4 weeks now? Second to last item is the 3-4 defense. The Vikings have run a 3-4 defense once in franchise history, and this thing has been around for 61 years. I think it was 86. It was a 1980 season. They only used it for 1 year. But unlike other teams, Minnesota is a historically hell-bent 4-3 organization, and it's been pounded into your psyche for all of these years, but especially during the Mike Zimmer era because for 6 out of 8 of those years, the defense was pretty damn good. So you're so ingrained to watch 4-3 football or to go look at a depth chart that's staggered in a 4-3 format. It's a brave new world now. It's the 3-4. So I think the mere sight of how the 3-4 looks compared to these 60 years of 4-3 will be interesting. You're getting with the times, kind of like I talked about O'Connell and the new breed of young offensive-minded head coaches. He happened to bring along a 3-4 defense led by Ed Donatel. So when you're watching how those dudes fly around, albeit backups and third stringers and sometimes fourth stringers, you'll get to see what these Vikings, the purple team, looks like in a 3-4 defense because for most of you, all you've ever watched is a 4-3 defense, at least a base. Zimmer always got creative with stuff, but they're walking into this damn thing saying this is new way of doing it, 3-4 baby. So keep your eyes on that. And the last one, probably the most important, I saved it for last, is the Garrett Bradbury salvage tour begins. It's not off to a good start in training camp. I guess he's been bullied a couple times. And, everything that you're hearing about Christian Darrisaw being the next Trent Williams, all of this positive, optimism and rah. It's the opposite for Bradbury. Just everywhere you look, Harrison Phillips beat him today. He looked like shit. You don't want to be hearing that stuff. So now, that's training camp. Wish it could have been better for him. Just like Mond, he's got a chance to say, all right, this is the preseason. I got to impress these new guys, these new coaches. And it sounds like he's probably the front runner to start at center. But if these 3 games, if he gets embarrassed, assuming he plays, they could rest him as a starter. But if they say that the center battle is alive and well, then Bradbury should play. So I guess I should caveat that in saying if Garrett Bradbury plays, then this is part of his salvage tour because by no stretch of the imagination is he guaranteed to start at center. They've said as such. Chris Reed is taking second team snaps, and we did a show, was it last week, with the idea that Reed was probably signed all along to be the backup plan at center if Bradbury goes pear-shaped, not to compete for right guard because, boom, they're using Jesse Davis and Ed Ingram for it. So the odd part about saying that this is a salvage tour for Bradbury is he's already been around for 3 years, so the dude shouldn't need preseason to prove that he's any good. But this is a make-or-break year for him. So he should be able to dominate in the preseason against some of these backup players. Believe it when you see it, huh? All right, we'll be back Monday probably to goes, or maybe Sunday night, depending on how that preseason game goes. I'm not sure. But yeah, we'll break down some of the things that we learned from this list and of the other developments from the preseason game. I hope you enjoyed this week's show, and skål, baby.